Hi YouTube! So today I'm starting another build. And you've already seen the title of this video, so I'm building another 973K, and this time I'm putting steel on it. So before I begin building the new Cat 973, I want to point out that there's absolutely nothing wrong with the plastic version. It's just I want to make a steel version. And also this is a great opportunity for me to practice on making more steel plates and incorporate them into my models for the future. So the new 973 will have steel plates, but it will also stay electric. I will still use the same actuators and the same lifting system, the same track motors and everything. So in this package I have steel plates for the chassis. I have these cover plates on the front here, and the pendulum will have steel. We've got steel in the front chassis on the inside here, and this is probably, this is the one that goes underneath. This is a skid plate, and this is also the belly plate on the underside. It's also a skid plate. We got metal or steel sprockets. These mount in a specific way. We'll get back to that later. And then we have the running gear, which is also, I have a pre-assembled one here to show you how the steel plates are mounted. So you can see them going down all the way on the running gear, and this will stiffen up the loader quite a bit. And then of course we got steel on the arms. We'll get back to assembling them too later. Anyway guys, I think that's a good enough introduction to the model. So let's begin building. So here we can see the main chassis has been assembled with the steel plates. These steel plates are 2 millimeters thick, by the way. And the two plates on the bottom here, the belly plate and the rear skid plate, they don't have any structural properties. They're just here for durability. And also they look kind of nice, so... Well, moving on, let's assemble the front part of the chassis. So we're about to install the lifting motor for the arms, and the motor that I'm using for this build, it's a 10 RPM motor with a dual shaft. The way you mount this is you have to put on a spacer before you install the motor to get the motor in the middle of this chassis piece right here. It's easier if you insert a screw first. You know what? I'm going to install two screws here. There we go. No. So now it's time to fill up this area with weights. Or wait, before we do that, we can mount this piece like this, so we can put the weights in easier. So there's 3 screws under here. Alright, so we got a lot of weights in here now, and this feels pretty heavy. So now we have to put the spacer on. I'm actually going to glue this in place so that it doesn't fall off. And now we install the second steel plate. Put the plastic. So here's the front chassis finished, and it's pretty darn heavy. Here's the weights that I put in. Yeah. Now these pieces are now ready for paint, and we can assemble the running gear next. So before we begin assembling the running gear, we have to insert some bearings, especially on this piece, and there's going to be one here. So let's do that. So there's 2 bearings in here. One of them just popped in, so. And now we need another bearing on this piece. Yeah, it popped in too. All right. And that is how easy it is to assemble the running gear on this thing. At least the main parts for the running gear. These are now ready for paint, but before we go and paint everything, we have to assemble the arms. So let's do that next. So when you assemble the arms, you want the pendulum mounts, which is this piece, to face downward with the flat spot. It's printed like this, so you want the flat spot to point downwards. Then you put on the arm like this. You can see the holes for the countersunk screws here. So you don't want to tighten the screws just yet. So now that all the screws are in, none of them are tightened. You put the arms on a flat surface like this, and then you tighten all the screws. So when I mounted this piece, I noticed that the middle hole didn't line up with the other holes, and that's because I put the wrong piece on the wrong place. So make sure that you put the right piece in. that looks better. Oh yeah, I remember now. I created these grooves. They should point upwards. So that's why, yeah, I forget things. It's been a while since I built one of these. So that's the lifting arms completed. And this steel is also 2 millimeters thick. So here we have the pendulums. We're going to glue them together now. So before you glue them, you have to check that the pieces line up. These don't, so this one seems to be, yeah. Okay, so let's assemble the sprocket next. You put the coupling inside the sprocket like this, and then you got a hole here on the sprocket, and that hole is also on the steel plate. These holes are supposed to line up, but you have to mount this steel plate in a specific way. It's either this way or this way. To find that out, you have to put the plate on, line up the holes, and now you have to line up the sprocket holes and see if they line up with the holes on the inside to the sprocket, which they do in this case. If they didn't, I would have to flip this plate around and try again. Here you can see that they don't line up on the inside. Yeah, you can barely see it, but this is the correct way. So that's the sprocket. So next we're going to glue the pendulum together. And before I do that, I'm going to put in some screws so that the parts all line up. Okay, some glue. So I'm going to let the glue dry over here. And these two idle wheels, I have already assembled them. You have to glue them together, just the same as I did with the pendulum. So these are pre-assembled and they are also ready for paint. After paint we will put bearings in them, and yeah. While I was going through the parts that I printed, this one I forgot to put this on the main chassis. So I'll do that right now. You just put it on here and put some screws on the inside here on both sides. All right. So these are the ripper parts. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to paint them before I assemble them. So we will put these aside. But we can, however, assemble the bucket, because that will have to be assembled before paint. So let's do that. So the way that the bucket assembles, it's in two pieces, or two main pieces, sorry, which is the rear wall, which is right here, and you got the teeth and the side walls over here. Now this bucket is a multi-functional bucket, which means that it can open the teeth. So we are now going to figure out how long the threaded rod is going to be. Let's put it on the side. So we will cut the first threaded rod at this length. So this threaded rod is 19 centimeters long. So there's a slight problem with the model right here. When I created this lip to mount the stone guard onto, I forgot to remove the material inside this hole. So when I try to insert this one, the lock nut crashes with the material. So I will fix that on the files, but right now I'll just use a soldering iron to fix this. Also, this hole, I remember now, this is too small to put this one in. So I'm going to have to fix the diameter on these holes and also remove that edge. Now I'm just going to drill everything until it fits. There we go. So I'm going to put another threaded rod on this, on the bottom here. And it will be this long. Okay, so now that I got the one on the bottom, I'm going to try to tighten the rod on the top. It's really hard to access it with the tools that I have here, but... Okay, so we got it mounted up. And that's the rear wall for the bucket. Now, assembling the side walls and the teeth is a lot easier. That's the side walls and the teeth. And when it's all painted, they will be mounted up like this. These holes should go in these holes. Like this, and you could open the bucket with some actuators sitting here. You gotta remember to put this one on. Okay, so the bucket is now finished and ready for paint. So all the parts are now ready for paint. Unfortunately, we have really cold weather outside today, and there's no way for me to paint them right now. So meanwhile, though, we can assemble the cabin. We can make the windows and put in all the roof and interior and stuff. And you can also see the steel plate that will sit on the top of the cabin. It's just a nice piece of weight to put on the loader, because this plate is actually pretty heavy. same with all the other parts with the steel parts on them. They do weigh a lot more, which is a great thing. So I was looking for my Windows template piece and I can't find it, so I have to print another one, and I'll be back in just a bit. So here's the Windows template. I'm going to show you how to create the windows for this cabin now. Alright, so this is a polycarbonate plate, or at least that's what I think it is. I buy these from a local Norwegian fellow, and yeah, these are very nice. They are 1 millimeter thick and they have this protective film on them. So once I cut everything out, I can remove the film and have super nice windows for my models. So the way you do this, it's super simple. You just put the Windows template on the pieces like this, and then you trace the outlines with a marker. Now you can use Lexan or transparent plastic. Anything really works. So that's one window. Let's do the same on this side. So here you can see the windows. They are super clear. Alright guys, that's as far as I can go with this build today. I have to paint the parts before I continue, so let's cross our fingers for some warm weather. And I gotta say though that the steel plated parts, they look awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to paint and begin assembling this thing. And for those wondering about this loader that's sitting in the background here, this will be my next project. In fact, I'm just waiting for parts for it to begin building it. More info about this loader is on my Facebook group. You can find a link to that in the description down below. Anyway guys, that's it for this video. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.